Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. We're going to engage in an art process today and add in elements of crystals and some tarot or oracle card type things. And I hope that you will engage in this process through your comments and observations. So let's get started. The question, for purposes of our empowerment, I've selected today is how can we expand our inner light? And interestingly enough, as I chose this question, it didn't even dawn on me that I had written a PDF book entitled Solstice to Solstice, Rebirthing Your Divine Inner Light. So this seems to be a theme within my life that I am wishing to engage in, and it seems it's time to come back around. So to offer some supportive elements, I ended up selecting smoky quartz, and which offers grounding, mental focus, strength to transmute negative energies, and it's based on the root, sacral, and solar plexus chakras. At least these are some of the elements that I found to resonate with this stone. So it makes me think about mostly makes me think about grounding and having a source of protection through that, and awakening our mental processes. Another stone that I've chosen is carnelian. It's largely a creativity stone, has positive energy, and is an expression of the inner child, related to the root, sacral, and solar plexus chakras. I largely think of it as our creativity, but also our expression. Then I have malachite here, which opens the heart, balances the emotions, also protects from negativity. So it's somewhat similar to the smoky quartz, and it's related to the heart and solar plexus. A card that I drew for this is the Empress, and I put it here between the malachite and the carnelian because of the fact that it seems that there's this child down in under the ground that's being protected by a mother here. And so it reminds me of the spirit of the inner child expression. It reminds me of the strength to transmute negative energy and having a protection from negativity. And perhaps also the love of a mother. The last stone that I selected is this chalcedony, which is a calmer of the emotions, strengthens communication, connects the heart and voice. But also in this particular chalcedony, there's a lot of this black area, which I'm not sure what it is exactly, but I decided because there's a black chalcedony, I'm assuming that it's also chalcedony. But another term for black chalcedony apparently is onyx, and this has auric field protection, strength, focus, willpower, and boost your dreams. Root, solar plexus, third eye. And this particular piece that I purchased, I like a lot because there's kind of this yin-yang symbol within it, here and here coming across. So that reminds me of some type of balance. On this side, I drew a card which seems to represent this area in some respect, the Chariot and the Badger. You know, the Badger can be a fierce opponent. So there's that aspect of strength and focus here, willpower. Then the Chalcedony here also mentions strength and communication. And this all reminds me that initially I had a different question that I was going to bring forth. But then when I checked in spiritually, this was the question that came out. But the previous question was with regard to our relationships, the ones that we decide to fight for and the ones that we don't. In other words, it does take two people to be in relationship, but if neither one of them really has enough fight for the relationship, it can just fall away and not materialize. So one has to at least really want the relationship to be able to have it grow in any manner. And in particular, I was thinking about relationships of difficulty. So in this instance, we're talking about expanding our inner light, but then this is the relationship to ourselves. And so I think these stones and these couple of cards that I've chosen or were drawn relate to that desire to be grounded, to have some creativity, an open heart, and a will to fight for something we believe in. A couple of oracle cards that I chose or drew today, one was Wild Turkey, and that's the power to heal the earth this states the power to heal the earth is within you. So healing the earth might feel like a big challenge to you, and this indicates that there's more power within us than we might know. Another card is the Robin. It says, new growth and potential is on the horizon. Reach out and embrace it. And again, I think this points to the fact that we have more power within us than we potentially know about. Yesterday, a couple days ago, I posted on the community page a poll to assess how you experience your inner light at this moment. And I had some images there. So the first one was, is your inner light feeling like it's producing fruit? And then the second one, I think, was, are you flourishing despite setbacks? Or are you, is your inner light shriveling up and on the way to death? Or has it just given up the ghost? So you can take a moment to assess that presence of inner light within you and how much power you think you have to shift changes within your life, within the world, and within your relationships. So this is the intention that I am intending to work with today. And this process is about drawing from the body rather than the mind. So I'm not going to be creating a particular image. I'm going to allow my body to sit within this intention and have it decide what colors to bring in and what marks to make on the paper. So I'm going to turn this page over, and I'm going to allow myself to kind of settle into this question because we've been talking here for a bit. And I will be moving between the drawing and talking about what's coming up for me. So let's begin. I'm going to read the question again. How can we expand our inner light? So I'm feeling this spiral, which does remind me of expansion. And now I have a sense that it wants like feathers. And I'm being reminded of my apprehension of getting started in creating this video, of getting started in drawing. Every time I start drawing, I wonder, will something happen? Will it be of significance? I don't think it's ever failed me, but it just continues to come up every time. I just have a hard time getting started, even though I've probably created dozens of drawings. Getting started is still an issue. And then for some reason, this is starting to make me think of a stairwell. So maybe I'll draw a railing or another line. To complete what I'm seeing or thinking about. And my apprehension comes up again about what to do next. What do I see? And what am I drawn to doing? Yellow was coming up for some reason. I'm just going to kind of put it in between here, not really paying attention to where it goes. Yellow is that solar plexus, that area of your personal power, our personal power. And speaking that, I'm reminded to say that I'm laughing because the thought came to me and I'm like, okay, I should say something about this, and then the thought left. So I'll have to wait for it to come back. So, but we were talking about the yellow being the solar plexus, and it's like the inner fire. I think what I wanted to say was that I want to emphasize that I feel like we're here learning together. This is not a teaching exercise. This is not teaching how to draw specifically, but more that we are engaged together to find out more information about certain topics. The teaching aspect here, though, is that you can do this process for yourself at any time. Just hold an intention and let your body draw from that. And something will come up on the page that you weren't expecting, you weren't thinking about, and it might help you in a difficult situation. So it's like this inner fire is wanting to blaze. Outward, but only from a specific point. For some reason, I only started it from here, not from the inner space. I wonder what the inner space wants. And I'm feeling like green, I think. Green, which makes me think of growth and like the seeds that I want to offer as part of this channel. But now I'm thinking about the fire within us, that creativity of the carnelian being the main chakra involved there is the sacral chakra. So it's right in your belly, where the babies are formed. I feel like this relates to what I was speaking about in our relationships, that it does take more than one person, even if the second person is spirit, that it needs to have some kind of fight or desire to be involved. So it seems like our inner light needs to have some aspect of fighting. And I don't particularly like the word fighting. I know that there are many activists out there who are into the fight, and that energy for me doesn't excite me much, because it's too much on the edge of violence for me. But in this sense, it's, I guess in my experience, it makes me think of that compassionate fight. That you're not out to get the other person to change necessarily, but perhaps to be heard and seen for who you are. To have constructive criticism to each other's thoughts and beliefs. To be heard, seen, loved. So this seems to be that inner fire, that inner creativity that needs to be stoked. It seems interesting to me because when this topic came through, I was grounded and I was touching my heart center, and I felt this light coming down, which to me would be spirit flooding my heart. But here we're talking about the sacral chakra down at the belly. So for me, that's like two different places, right? It's the heart and the sacral. So perhaps there's an ignition at the sacral point that moves upward towards the heart. And yet I've often felt that the heart center is the negotiation point between the earth and the spiritual realms or the universe. And the sacral here is somewhere in between. So I'm going to continue, but I was also thinking about the featherly marks that I was making earlier. And like, that kind of reminds me of spirit as in angels. So maybe there was a presence of spirit first, and now there needs to be a creative force involved as well. And now I feel like drawn to taking this orange further around. Just to that point for some reason. And it makes me think of shells and the way that they have that coiling effect, which then also reminds me of the thing called the golden mean. And I guess there's particular dimensions if you that you can measure in a drawing, and they'll, if it's a, I was going to say pleasing, but pleasing is a term that's open for discussion. But there's a general I don't know how to exactly describe that, but it's there are particular measurements that can be aligned with the golden mean number, and the spiral is one of those, I believe. So that's just what I'm thinking about at the moment. And I'm looking here in the center, and I feel like there's like an embryo in the center that's reminding me of this Empress card and the baby fox underground here, being protected. So there might be a element of protection. The other thing that I see here is that there seems to be an amount of depth so that the embryo is just slightly lower than the surface of the paper. So I'm just waiting for what else wants to come. It's like the orange wants to come outside of this. This is like the expansion energy. The vibration that all beings, objects have, the expansion. This again makes me think about what I do want to bring forth in this channel, which is to have or offer seeds into people's perspectives and to allow that to be vibrated out into the world. So by showing up today with me, whether you realize it or not, you'll probably grab onto something in this video that will not necessarily trigger you to do anything, but it might give you a different thought or idea that kind of sits in the back of your head, and maybe you form a different idea than you had before, or it occurs to you something different than had before. And then you go do something in the world, whether it's just walking down the street or you engage with somebody, and maybe your conversation even puts one different word into your conversation than you had before. This is your change that's happening in the world, and how your light extends onto others and expands out into the world. So right now, this makes me think, this question of, what was the question again? How can we expand our inner light? Perhaps it's not a question of how we can expand it, more that it's a question of, do you realize it's there and the opportunities you have available for expanding that light into the world? Do you understand your own power in doing so? Even if you're not the activist type, as I'm not, how can you, just by going down the street, offering your light to our experience on the earth, and how that might change something happening in the world? Whether you engage with another person, or with a plant, or an animal, these are all things that have this inner light that we share together. Another word for inner light might be our inner spirit. This makes me think of, we think that we need to take an action in the world to change it. And in some respects we do, but that action doesn't need to be necessarily need to be something big or huge. It can be little things in the world, little things that add up cumulatively to big things. And if we have enough of those little things, those little seeds that we're all willing to be aware of, and maybe the expansion is to be aware of and intentionally amplify what we are aware of. Seems like we need some more color here to me. But I'm also like having the sensation of wanting to trace this path. It reminds me that, things go in and out. As we learn and grow, they ebb and flow, come up and subside. And maybe what I'm drawing on the page is energy and not color. I'm energizing this spiral, this continuance of growth. As humans grow throughout the generations, we are not who we were generations before, particularly during this time, I think. I almost thought we were done, but it seems like some blue wants to go in up here. Should have probably put a board under there. Oh well. I think the blue makes me feel more grounded. The vibration of the orange is pretty intense. Blue relates to the throat chakra, so speaking your truth. This for me comes back to difficult relationships and having the willingness to speak your truth. But also, I think there's a timing involved and a seeding involved in that. Kind of like sticking your big toe into the water a little bit, testing the waters with a little seed, not a big seed, and seeing how someone is able or willing to be nourished by that seed, or do they reject it? And once you have a gauge on the progress of the seed that you've offered, you might offer another seed. And I think this is not just from your side, but theirs as well. I think that's a good way of relating, particularly when there are different sides involved, or perspectives, or memories of events. Something about the marks I'm now making make me think of a nest. That maybe that, the seeds are needing that nest. Again, like this Empress card and the little fox being protected here. But it's almost like they're in a nest below the surface there. The birds protecting their young in their nests. So the seed needs a safe place. You need to feel safe in offering the seed. I can think of a particular relationship in my life where I never felt safe to offer that seed. And therefore, that relationship never went anywhere further in my life. I chose to allow it to die. So safety seems to be an aspect here in expanding our inner light. So the thought coming now, if you can imagine, all the things that we have the freedom to do in this day and age. And I guess I was thinking about, the Inquisition, the burning of witches, how unsafe those times were to speak your truth, to provide any seeds of that sort. That would not be a time to be trying to spread your seeds, at least through your voice and through the physical world. I think you always have the opportunity to spread seeds in the energetic realm by holding intention, by engaging with life. You can think about different people that you meet and the way that they feel to you. Feeling whether they're safe or not as a person, feeling their generosity or their greediness. Those two, different sides of the coin of your impressions of people, whether they're warm or cold. I think they're pretty easy to gauge and know whether you are in a safe place to talk with them, to offer seeds back and forth. So I'm asking myself, are we complete now? And I think I'm actually going to muscle test, which is basically just grounding and then having a method of seeing whether muscles switch on or off. And my process is pretty simple. I just use these two fingers, and I first ask for a yes and a no. So, are we complete? So, because my finger, I didn't ask yes or no, did I? Okay. Back up. So, grounding and asking for a yes and a no. So for me, a yes is when the fingers remain together, and a no is when they slide apart. And so, are we complete for this drawing? And I'm getting a yes. So I think we're done for today and all of our discussions, and I hope that you will, of course, like the video, subscribe, etc. But comment, because you are a part of this process. And whatever I see today, tomorrow I will see something else. And I hope that you are also observing things that I have not mentioned. And in that way, we can begin to become a community together by supporting each other and trading our seeds um, in whatever question arises, which today was, how can we expand our inner light? And even for myself, I will go back years later to look at some drawings I have made, some with intention, some with not, and I'll find more information coming through. So I hope you'll join me, continue to join me in the future. Um, I may do further drawings on the same topic. I may do them with other elements, such as I know water consciousness is something I'm interested in, and then that might be useful. Going on a medicine walk, and those are the only things I'm thinking about at the moment. But certainly there can be more than one part to this, and if that happens, I'll probably group them in a particular playlist. But this is all for right now, and we'll see you again soon. Bye now. Thanks.